Hey y'all, what's up? Jamie, that's me here. Welcome back to another episode of Am I the A-Hole, okay? Now this one actually ended up being a submission that came directly to me. So we're going to get into the details to find out what this is all about. Let's get into the question. It says, am I the A-Hole for feeling like dad tried to overstep me in the court papers for visitation by going through our 5-year-old son? Listen, right out the gate, daddy is wrong if he going through a 5-year-old instead of consulting you or the courts. Like, so that's what it's giving. It's giving you not the asshole just off of this question. Because I'm looking at it like, no, he didn't try and go around to get to the baby. No, he did not. But let's go ahead and let's get into it. Now, before we really get into the details, one note she wanted to make sure that we knew was that she told her son's dad that he couldn't have side conversations with their 5-year-old son to try to get more parenting time. So let's get into it. She says, I, 37-year-old female, separated from my son's dad, 37. They separated 4 years ago. We went through the courts to get custody papers written up because we could not work out a visitation schedule. Also, keep in mind, we live an hour away from each other. His dad gets him every weekend, every month, minus one weekend. Just about every holiday, Father's Day, and birthdays. He also gets him Monday through Friday for the whole summer. She goes on to say, on Sunday, pickup night, like most pickups, my son was crying that he didn't want to go with me and wanted to stay with his dad. And then she goes on to say, this a whole nother am I the a-hole letter within itself. So that's a separate situation. But I'm over here trying to find out why the baby just want to stay with his daddy and not go with his mommy. What's going on with that? She says, and in reply to him being upset, dad told him something in his ear. After calming him down on the trip home, he stated to me that dad told him that he could call dad anytime and he would come over and hang out with him. To which I said, okay, interesting. Let's keep going. She says, as soon as we got home, my son ran to his room, got his phone, and called his dad. Keep in mind, it has only been an hour since we did the switch. What kind of fun or what activities is he doing over there with his daddy that's making him like, I don't want to go over here with this lady. I want to stay with my daddy. Like, what's really going on? She says, the conversation between a 5-year-old and a 37-year-old man. Dad, can you come over tonight? The son says, you're going to have to ask your mom if I can come over. She says, I said no, not to a 9 p.m. Sunday visit. The baby says, Dad, mom said you can't come over tonight, while he's crying his eyes out. So then the dad says, well, if mom says I can't come, then I can't come. But we can make plans for tomorrow. I can come over tomorrow. So then the baby says, okay, Dad, bye. This is a tough situation. I don't know, because like right out the gate, I feel like the dad, when it comes to like tomorrow, I'll come over tomorrow, it's kind of like you shouldn't promise that if you can't confirm that mommy is going to agree with that. I feel like he should have just said, okay, well, let me consult with mommy. Like, I can't overstep my boundaries when it comes to mommy, okay? So I have to always talk to mommy, and what mommy says goes, okay? So if I can't come over, I promise you'll see me X, Y, Z, or, whenever that time frame is that he'll typically see his dad. So the woman says, I'm fired up with this conversation that just happened because now my son is mad at me for telling him no, and kids already hate it when they can't get their way. I mean, that's very true. And it seems like he has a super strong bond with his dad. Like, he's crazy about that man is what it sounds like to me. According to you, after every pickup, this baby cries his eyes out. Like, girl, I don't know. It just sounds like better communication needs to happen on the parents' part. Something's going on. I feel like that when you said that that's a whole nother a-hole situation, I feel like, girl, we might need to get the details of that a-hole situation as to why the baby always crying his eyes out every time he's returned from dad. But let's keep going. She says, now I have texted his dad to see why he would have our son ask me if it would be okay for dad to come over for a visit at 9 p.m. knowing it's bedtime, and to then say he would come the next day without seeing if I had plans, to which I did. She says she did. She had fully paid tickets to a Christmas festival for the day. And that's what I mentioned right out the gate. I feel like the dad kind of overpromised because you're not getting that confirmation from the mom. So yeah, there needs to be better communication between the both of y'all. He shouldn't set up false expectations for that baby if he know he not going to be able to follow through with that and actually show up. You know what I'm saying? And on a Sunday after he just returned that baby, for him to tell his son, ask mommy, he should have tried to calm him down, in my personal opinion, and let him know, it's a school night, whatever it is, mommy has things to do in the morning, daddy has things to do in the morning, so daddy won't be able to come over tonight, but I promise I'll try to talk with mommy to see if I can come by at some point this week, but not necessarily giving an exact date that this child is going to be looking forward to. You know what I'm saying? So I just felt like dad could have did better with communicating on his end. But let's keep going because there is a text thread that she gave us, and I want to get into that. So mom texts dad and says, what the hell? Dad says, what? Mom says, why the heck would you tell him that? Dad says, tell him what? Mom says, tell him to make plans for you to come to my house. Dad says, I didn't. I told him to ask you first and we can go to the park or something. I never said anything about your house. Mom says, why the heck would you do that? That is not your place to tell a 5-year-old to do that and put me in the position to have to tell him no. Now he's mad at me and I just got him back. Dad says, if he wants to hang out with me, he is required to ask you first. What else am I supposed to do? Now, in between these messages, she has a note for me and says, keep in mind, Dad told son to call him. He has never asked for Dad to come over and hardly ever asked to call him on the phone on my parenting time. Now, getting back to the text messages, Mom says, and when I tell him no, he's going to be mad at me, not you. Dad says, if there isn't a legitimate reason, then why am I not allowed to visit and hang out with him a little? That's your decision. Mom says, you do not get to put me in the position of the bad parent, so you look like the parent of the year. Dad says, that is not my intention at all, nor do I assume to be the parent of the year. If my son wants me to go visit him, it's simple as that. So Mom says that is not a conversation you should be having with a 5-year-old. He doesn't understand court papers, restraining orders, or why I choose not to have you at my house. Oh, that's some other tea. That is some other tea. A restraining order, girl, typically that happens when somebody is a loose cannon. Dad goes on to say, again, I don't want to go to your house, nor do I ever tell him I would go to your house. Mom says, I'm done with this conversation. Dad says, okay. So if he says he wants to see me, you're going to tell him I'm not allowed to see him? Understood. Wow, girl, y'all got to work on y'all communication. Okay, right out the gate, I feel like both of y'all need to grow up. Both of y'all might play a little bit of the a-hole for me. Now, Dad may have been wrong with how he handled the conversation. I mean, initially, he did lead the conversation when the little boy asked, like, hey, can you come over? The dad did say you're going to have to ask your mama first. Now, where the dad went wrong was when he said, we could try tomorrow. I'll come over tomorrow. Like, that might be where the dad went wrong, because I do feel like you can't promise you'll do something on somebody else's schedule. Like, he doesn't know what your schedule is going to be. So that's where he could have communicated a little better. But as far as you kind of like getting upset and feeling like you're the bad parent, I feel like I would need more context and more details about why every time that little boy comes with you, he's hollering and he's crying. And it does make me think about your household dynamics and what's going on at home as to why that baby primarily would rather be with his dad versus being with his mom. Yeah, like I would like to know more about that. Like, why is that? That's not I'm not used to seeing that. You know, I'm sure it's a common thing for some, but it's not a common thing for me. I'm used to seeing a child wanting to be with their mama versus wanting to be with their dad. You know, so it just, you know, I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I mean, does he get more hugs and loves or something over there with his dad? Is he playing more? Is he doing more? Like, I don't know. I just wonder what the dynamic is as to why every time he comes to you, he's always crying. But if you ask me when it comes to these messages, I feel like both of y'all need to grow up a bit, and both of y'all may be playing a little bit of the asshole. Like, I understand you might be upset with him because why would you promise that to a kid and say this, you don't know my schedule, whoop de whoop. But then at the same time, the man did, because it sounds like you were standing right there to hear the conversation, right? So it sounds like you heard him say, hey, you got to ask mama first. And it seems like some of the issue you might have with him, in my personal opinion, may be rooted beyond the parenting situation with the kid. I think you may still have a little bit of resentment or something towards him, but that's just, you know, my personal opinion. Girl, I could be wrong. I'll let the other people hop down in the comments and let you know if you really the a-hole or what's really going on. But for me, like, I think y'all both might want to grow up a bit and do better with the communications. Like, you just gonna have to stand firm. Sometimes you just gonna have to be the bad parent and tell him, listen, daddy's not allowed to come to the home, but we can meet daddy at the park, we can meet daddy at the mall, X, Y, Z, ABC. And if he can't get his way, that's how he just can't get his mother way. That's just what it is. You just have to deal sometimes. As a kid, he don't run this show. Y'all run that show. And because y'all run that show, to me, y'all both are giving a little bit of the a-hole, and y'all have to work on that communication that y'all got going on, because that's where it's really rooted from. I don't even think this man was really trying to go outside of the court visitations or outside of you. You know what I'm saying? Because he did tell the baby to ask, but also he could have told him this. He could have said, hey, let me speak with mommy. You want me to come over? Let me speak with mommy. You could have told him directly, hey, you can't come to my house. You already know what it is. Daddy could have got on the phone and also could have told him, well, hey, I've talked to mommy and that won't be something we could do today or this week, but daddy will promise to, you know, reach out to you. I'll FaceTime you, whatever. That conversation could have also went like that. So I do understand where you're coming from. But then at the same time, for me, I feel like y'all both are being a little bit of the a-hole. Now, wrapping up the conversation, she says, I feel like dad is the one that feels like he needs to control the visits on his terms when he hasn't tried to visit his son at his sporting events every Tuesday night for the last 3 years. Dad just missed his first race of the year this past Sunday. She says, so am I the a-hole, aka the bitter baby mama? I don't think you're a bitter baby mama at all. I do think you have a bit of a-hole tendencies, just like he has a bit of a-hole tendencies. tendencies. I feel like your a-hole tendencies, you're holding on to some things that happened between you guys from your past is what it sounds like to me. But hearing this, it also sounds like he's not that perfect of a parent. And I wish that you kind of would have gave us a little bit more of the details about what's going on so that we could kind of like digest it a little bit more. But if you ask me, I feel like both of y'all got a bit of the a-hole in you. But I'm not going to be the only person to let you know. I'll let everybody else hop down in the comments and let you know what they truly think, okay? If you guys have a completely different perspective than what I do, please hop down in the comments and share your thoughts about this particular situation. That's all that I have. I'm Jamie, that's me. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share my videos. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at JamiThatsMe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.